sound of redemption. This is the way that we bring it down. Down, down, 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 down. Igniting the fire within you. Exalting the melody of freedom. These are the things that will bring it down. Down, down, 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 down. So gather the faithful. Tell everyone to stand and shout loud. Shout loud. Shout loud. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it way down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it down, down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it way down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it down, down. Down, down, down.
Let me tell you, it's in the air. Joy is in the air. Love is in the air. Can you feel it? What it feel like? Freedom. What it feel like? Don't sleep on it, brother. You might get left, sister. Can you feel it? What it feel like? Freedom. What it feel like? Justice. No need to be counted, cause I am down. Down, down, down. Down, down, down. Down for the end of racism, for the end of bigotry, cause I am down. For the end of misogyny, that's right. For all the isms out there, just down, down, down. Let's bring it down. Rise up, people. No more foolishness, and let's bring it way down.
Riding the river of change into the cries of contrition. This is the way that we bring it down. Down, down, 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 down. We are the children of Eden, dancing and celebrating freedom. We are the ones that must bring it down. Down, down, 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 down. So gather the faithful. Tell everyone to stand and shout loud. Shout loud. Shout loud. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it way down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it down, down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it way down. Let's bring it down. We've got to bring it down. Down. Stand up and shout. Stand up and shout. Rise
Accountability
together.
starts now. The Eric Dawson Radio Show.
Yeah. Rise up. Stand up, shout it loud.
If you are not prepared to come to that table and to represent that voice, don't come. Because we don't need any more brown faces that don't want to be a brown voice. We don't need black faces that don't want to be a black voice. We don't need Muslims that don't want to be a Muslim voice. We don't need queers that don't want to be a queer voice. And if you're worried about being marginalized and stereotyped, please don't even show up.
Good morning. Good morning.
Eric.
I'm black.
I'm black.
I'm black. I like that, Kev. I'm black. So,
What's up? Good morning.
good morning, Informed
Good
Class.
to see you face to face.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Listen, welcome to another episode. Things are heating up. You know, wait, can I say this? Well, first, hit the share button, visit YouTube, hit the bell, do all of that stuff. Come on, guys. Let's get our YouTube numbers up. I don't even think we're at 200 subscribers, right? And we develop and deliver the content every day. We're going to ask you as the Informed Class to be the distributors of the content, and we'll know that it's distributing because we'll see more subscribers. So take the link from YouTube, because at some point we'd like to off-ramp and be on YouTube and do away with Facebook, because Facebook is the devil. But anyway, but we got to use them for now, right? But it's the God's honest truth, man. I mean, I tried to boost something last night, Kevin, and they denied me. For what reason, I don't know. Anyway, we want to off-ramp, and you guys can help us. So take the link from YouTube, put it in your text message, and everybody that you believe needs to be unplugged from the matrix, please send them that link and say, hey, listen to the show. You might not agree with everything those two old guys say, but maybe there's some seed, some jewel that they drop that might help you, help empower you to change your circumstances. Oh, you know what? Let me get the microphone. I apologize, guys. The mic isn't, so I hope you guys heard that.
Well, I heard you.
Okay. Anyway, so now it'll be clearer for you guys. So please hit the share button. But Kev, listen, you know, I was going to say things are heating up, but things have always been hot. People are just waking up to how hot it really is, right? We've been under the illusion that we've been living in comfort, or some forms of comfort, but now the veils are off, and you guys get to see in all of its full glory the struggle that that the corporation of white supremacy is having to maintain control of political and economic power. You see it. You see it when you turn your television on now, right? It's not masked. When you have Alan Dershowitz make the comment that he made yesterday, where he said that the president of the United States can engage in quid pro quo, and it's not impeachable as long as he believes that his presidency is important to America. I said, are you kidding me? So as long as nobody else has to believe that. But if the president believes that he is acting in the best interest of America by getting reelected, so he believes that his own candidacy is in the best interest of America, then he can act in any of those ways, and none of them are impeachable. I sat there and Kevin, I said, man, you know, so when we talk about the fact that the corporation of white supremacy is caught off guard, we see it, man, because they don't know what to do now. They have zero idea what to do. On this hand, you got this democratic socialist, man, who is kicking ass no matter what they do. They've thrown everything at him. They got the entire media lodged against him. They tried to black him out. They tried to discredit him. They tried to destroy him. They were praying that the heart attack killed him. None of that none of it has happened. I mean, you guys tell me where I'm lying. So none of it has happened. And so now they're looking at the guy that they were going to prop up, that if they did get rid of Trump because he's a wild card and they brought Biden in, that he would keep things as they are. Because that's what he said. Nothing's going to fundamentally change. And they realized, wow, we can't do that. That's blowing up on us too. Right? So they said, well, now we got to keep Trump. Like, you're not going to get Biden. And so they said, so now, no matter what he did, because Bolton is going to come out. He's going to testify next week. And when he does...
Well, my prediction today, I think it's the 30th of January, is that Bernie Sanders is going to get the nomination. And then the Democrats are going to work hard as hell to make sure he doesn't win. That's number one. Well, that's number one. It's just the truth.
You gotta laugh.
Number two,
laugh at it.
it's my prediction as of today. I have the right to change my mind. Mm-hmm. But as of today, Donald Trump is going to be the president of the United States of America again.
Because
you're going to get a big push of
But Kevin,
angry
because
voters.
of who? He's gonna
because of the Democrats.
There we go. See, come on now. We got to say it. Because of the Democrats.
Listen, let me say so this is my prediction. Everybody heard me. That they're going to implode at the Democratic convention. They're going to give people the impression that there's a lot of order, stagecraft, but there will be a lot of chaos, and we will probably get a lot of that information from our friends that sit in leadership of the Democratic Party. And those 8 states that Trump needs to win, where his people are right now data crunching at a whole nother level. 0.5% can he win? 1% can he win? And I got to tell you, as it stands right now, unfortunately, I must say that Donald Trump, the brainchild of white supremacy, the creation of white supremacy, the nephew of white supremacy, is going to win.
Amen. Listen.
He's going to win. He's going to win. He's going to get paid. He's not going to be impeached. He's going to go to those 6 or 8 states that make presidents in this country. And after this election is over, everybody's going to say, let's get rid of the Electoral College, which I think we should not, because I don't trust pure popular vote either. That can be grossly misinterpreted. So that is my take for the president.
And Kevin, the crazy part about this, so people understand this, right? The Democrats are orchestrating this. The Democrats have now been enlisted by the corporation white supremacy to be in charge of Donald Trump being reelected. And
well, I gotta say, Sid was on top of my comments early. Nope, I will not express that energy through words. Okay, Sid, I got it. See, that's a scary proposition.
No, don't take the blue pill, Sid. Don't take it.
She said, Sid said, don't even put it out there in the universe. I can't take it.
No, but see, that's the blue pill. But that's the blue pill. You gotta take the red pill, man, and go down this rabbit hole.
Eric, I do not want Sid to be messed up for the rest of the day. I'm not.
He's not a demo job.
I'm leaving that alone. I'm not touching it again, Sid. You got my word.
Hey, Sid posted on Facebook that he was looking for somebody to do some demo, help him with some demo work. I hope he got the people to do that. And you know what, Sid? This would be a great opportunity for you to release some stress. Just take a sledgehammer, man, and just bang those walls down.
Because when I started looking at the polls, right, we don't like polls.
Right.
But they can't even tinker with the polls. It's so obvious that by the time you get to Super Tuesday, everybody's going to have to drop out.
Everybody. Kevin,
everybody's going to have to drop out.
But you know what, though? But here is why. Now we get to see. Remember I was talking about developing pieces, right? So developing the pieces. So the Democratic Party, right, or the corporation white supremacy. Because that's where it starts. It starts up there. It starts with those people who we don't even know. Those nameless people who are moving all of them. They're moving all the chess pieces on the board. They looked and saw this thing, and I'm not saying it jokingly. I really believe, and I think you believe too, Kevin, that they've been caught off guard. And when they looked up at the 2020 race, by the time they looked up and realized that Bernie Sanders hadn't gone away, that he wasn't discouraged, nor were his followers, and I shouldn't say his followers because I don't want to give the impression that it's a cult, right?
Right.
But nor were the people who see the vision that he sees, right? Who haven't been socially engineered to believe that they're powerless, right? All of those people stayed engaged, and the corporation white supremacy looked up and said, "Oh shoot, what do we do?" I was watching. I told you I am immersed in Fox News. I have not seen MSNBC for almost 2 months now. Kevin, my head's about to explode. I'm starting to understand why they think like that over there. But anyway, there are a couple of people. Judge Politalo is one who I like. Chris Wallace is another one that I like. Brett Baer is another one that I think, and Juan Williams is another one. And you know what? Geraldo Rivera, he has his moments, and I like him. The rest of them, man, I mean, Tucker Carlson and Sean Hannity and Mark Levin and the rest of those guys, man, it's crazy. It's what do you say? Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs?
Cuckoo for Cocoa
They're
Puffs.
cray.
Cray. I get that. Listen, I get that from my youngest daughter. Daddy, that's just cray.
Yeah.
I was like, well, what? When I first heard it, I said, what is that? She said, people going wild. Their brains, you're out there. You're cray. Ain't no coming back for you. But no, I got to tell you, that's how I look at it right now, right? I look at Elizabeth Warren, I look at Buttigieg, I look at Klobuchar, who I still don't understand why she's there. And I look at Yang still out there, we're spreading the word. I like Yang a lot. But when it gets narrowed down, it's going to be between three people, and then past we get Super Tuesday, Warren. I think Warren and Buttigieg they're going to eventually have to go away.
Right.
They're not going to be able to stay. They're not going to let Joe Biden fail. They're going to get him to the finish line as close as he could.
Well, here's the really interesting thing, though, right? So Elizabeth Warren's career, I believe, is on the line now. Right? Because think about it. In 2016, Elizabeth Warren had an opportunity to endorse Bernie Sanders. And a lot of people believed that she was going to do that. And she didn't, right? She wound up endorsing Hillary Clinton. And she took a lot of hits for that. And a lot of those hits that she took, we see playing out in 2020, where a lot of the folks who are supporting Bernie Sanders, supporting this movement, don't trust him. And now this is the final straw. If it becomes obvious, right after Iowa, New Hampshire, and Nevada, after those three, it will be very obvious that there's no reasonable path for Elizabeth Warren. And all of those folks who are progressive will be looking at her to do the reasonable and sensible thing, which is to drop out of the race and support Bernie Sanders. Well, I don't know if she's going to do it, right? Because I know she's got...
Listen, she's going to stay around. She's going to stay around for a long time. I think after Super Tuesday, what I was really going to say, after Super Tuesday, I think they're gone. She's gone.
I believe that if she stays around after Nevada, after the thumping she's going to receive in Nevada, if she sticks around, it will be clear to every progressive that she is not a progressive, that she is a foil. And I think that the backlash will be severe if she stays around. And that's why I'm saying I think her political career will be over. So she will have, and I believe this too. I believe that she will jeopardize her relationship with Ayanna Pressley, right? Ayanna Pressley is the only one out of the squad that did not come out and support Bernie Sanders. And we both said what? We understand why, right?
Yeah.
Elizabeth Warren is her senator. But at the end of the day, if you listen to what Ayanna Pressley is saying, and if you believe that she practices what she preaches, then after Nevada, she's going to be leaning on Elizabeth Warren and say, hey, listen, if you had a path, I'd be with you. But you don't have a pathway. And now you want to drag me into these deep waters and drown me? No. I'm going to come out and I'm going to support Bernie Sanders. I believe that's what she'll do.
If any of them are still around, and after Super Tuesday, they're there to do exactly what you say. Somebody's got to fall on the sword coming out of Nevada. They got to fall on the sword.
I even saw Buttigieg took a liking to Bernie and kind of dissed Biden. And I'm not sure whether that was because Buttigieg just doesn't feel like he's getting the kind of love that he wants from the Democratic Party and wants to show his prowess and his influence and says, hey, listen, if you guys don't offer me what it is that I want, I still have some chips on the other side of the table that I can play.
There's a big group of special interests out there that are marketing and pushing Buttigieg for the future. So he's going to have a speaking role at the convention. Right. Maybe so. Klobuchar probably will. Joe Biden probably will. You can Warren. all the people that were involved. I mean, I think involved in this campaign, running for president, a lot of them will get speaking opportunities, and some of them might even end up being cabinet members. But if it's Biden, none of them will be cabinet members, because Biden will bring back the old guys, and they'll just sit down with the oligarchs and cut up the pie again, and create genocide all over America, all over again.
Yeah.
So that's what I see. Biden winning is the worst thing for this country. I mean, you just pay attention. We talked about him, so that's the listen. Kobe Bryant.
But wait a minute. We have Diane on the phone. I don't know if she wants to weigh in on what we were talking about. Diane?
Hey, good morning.
Hey,
quickly,
good morning.
You know, Buttigieg is coming to New Jersey so he can speak to people.
Really?
So, yeah, he's supposed to be coming. I believe it's next week, Wednesday or Tuesday, up in Morris County. And Biden, I think, is now becoming more and more desperate, because now he's talking about he would love to have Michelle Obama as his vice president.
You know what? We got to talk. All right. So, listen. Anybody who doesn't see that as pandering, anybody who's pushing that narrative and saying that there's some seriousness behind it, he started off this way, though, didn't he? Contemptuous.
I think you're being mean to him right now, though.
With Stacey Abrams, he did the same thing with her.
I think you're being mean to him right now.
No, you know what? I want to kick him off the island.
And let me tell you why you're being mean. And Diane threw that in there so we can have this discussion. Just now, basically, I would never vote for Biden. But this is what happens when you
Can't hear you, Kevin.
Hello, Kevin.
Hey, stop hitting your buttons, Eric.
I didn't. That wasn't me.
It wasn't me. It must have been Diane. So anyway, what happens when you're out there on the campaign trail? These reporters will come up to you and ask you questions. Who would be a great vice president pick? And he says, Michelle Obama. Then that becomes the story of the day. He could have said anybody at that moment. He could have said Steffi Gifford. Anyone. I think those stories
you're giving the guy.
I think those stories right there are manufactured.
But why would he? But why? So you say he would say anybody?
Well,
here you have a guy.
I would have said, wow, it would be great if Michelle Obama would be vice president.
But see, I don't think you would have done that. I think you would have been more savvy, Kevin. And you would have said, you know what? I think you would have said.
So both of you saying that doesn't happen.
No, it doesn't happen. You tell me which other candidate. Tell me which other candidate has listed a person as a possible vice president.
I said you didn't listen to what I said.
Oh well, you know what? That's not true, because Bernie Sanders did, right? He said AOC would make a good vice president.
Right. So we shouldn't hold him to that. We should let him go on and celebrate that, knowing that Michelle would never go back in the White House for any.
You don't know what Michelle would do.
Michelle does not want to live in that bubble all over again when they're living their best life right now.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question. Do you believe? Okay, this is an honest question. Do you believe that?
Hey, Kevin, your microphone or something is breaking up.
Hold on. Do you believe? Can you hear me better?
Better. Yep.
Okay. Do you believe that Michelle Obama is qualified to be the vice president of the United States of America?
Booba the Fool is qualified to be the president. Anybody can be the vice president. Yes.
So you said, okay.
She's no less qualified than anybody else, Kevin.
No, I know. See, I'm not.
What are the qualifications again?
I am not doing a comparable this morning. I just asked you a question. You didn't answer the question. I said, is she qualified? Now you get ready to say about all these other things. How Bubba did and John did.
Sure, she's qualified.
Okay, that's all I asked.
She's as qualified as the next person that's 18. Absolutely. But he didn't choose Joe Smo. He chose her. The black face that people know they love. That's who he chose to say.
I know what you're getting at, Kevin. I believe that Michelle Obama has the acumen. I believe that she's qualified. Not only on her own prior to being the first lady, but certainly after being there for 8 years as the first lady, I think that she certainly could fit into that role as.
Yeah, I just asked that question.
First of all, just because she was the first lady does not make her qualified.
But you got to understand the roles and responsibilities of a
professional attorney.
No, but I understand that.
I know a lot of professional attorneys that shouldn't be professional attorneys. That's not what I asked. So you this is just wrong with you people.
Who is you people? Who is you people,
Uh-oh.
Kevin? Who is you people?
Diane, I asked you a question.
You of all people should be the last one to say that statement.
Diane, I asked you a damn question. Okay, good.
What are you trying to get to? She's not going to feel like anybody else.
I like her.
Yeah,
I just don't want the thing that I don't want. I'm not. Listen, I don't like to call the personality stuff. You know, everybody's in love with her because she's in love with Obama. I get all of that, family. I got all that. But I'm not going to call to personality when I talk about these kinds of offices, and that's what's got us in trouble. That's what got us in trouble. We don't do a really good job of picking supposed leaders with baseline principles, like Eric's been talking about, like you've been talking about. I'm saying we should do the job. That's all. That's it. And not because I love her, because she was married and she put on a nice dress and she said some provocative words. I mean, I got to see more.
Do you think AOC is qualified to be the vice president?
Yes.
Do you think any of the candidates are qualified to be the vice president?
So here's the deal. This is what I would say to you. If you understand the role and responsibilities of a vice president, right? You got most congressional folks, senators, lawyers. I mean, anybody who, has reasonable intelligence could be the vice president. The question that you have to ask yourself is this: that person being one heartbeat away from being the president, are they qualified to be the president? So to say, are you qualified to be the vice president? For me, yeah, in a lot of cases, the vice president can offer some advice, offer an opinion, insight, whatever. But the president of the United States is surrounded by so many other people, right? That the vice president could essentially be rendered, can be neutered. Or you can have a vice president like Dick Cheney, who was vice president, right? Who was essentially functioning as president in some cases in terms of setting policy and moving the White House forward. So it really depends. But I would like to look at whoever is going to be vice president and say, can that person be president in the event that something occurs? Because I think that the biggest tragedy would be to have somebody who you put into a figurehead role that all of a sudden has to step up and do the job. It reminds me of the show. I don't know if you watch it on Netflix. It's called Designated Survivor.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So in that movie or in that series, Kiefer Sutherland, right, was a designated survivor. So he was the person during some speech, on the Hill that did not show up because the president, vice president, all of the Senate and Congress were there, and the bomb blew it all up. And so he was the guy who wasn't there, and he had to step in and all of a sudden be thrown into the presidency. Now, granted, that's a series, but we have to acknowledge the fact that anything can happen. I mean, and we're going to talk about Kobe Bryant in a minute, and I do have that video, but just like Kobe was on that helicopter and the helicopter crashed, Air Force One could go down. And if the president's on Air Force One when it goes down, the vice president all of a sudden now has to assume that. And so now you're not looking and saying, is he qualified to be vice president? You're saying, is he qualified to be president?
So, so basically, you really don't have any say on vice president. Your say is on the president in hoping that they would choose a vice president that would be competent enough to take their role.
That's right.
That's all it is.
That's right. That's how I look
Anybody
at it.
is qualified to be the vice president. Whether
so
they're
now
going to be good at it, you're not going to know until they're in that position.
So if you ask me if AOC was qualified to be president, I would say no. Do you see what I'm saying? So so Bernie Sanders making a comment about her being that she would be a good vice president. I'm looking beyond that. See, because if you're a chess player, again, you're not looking at that move. You're looking 3 moves ahead. And so I'm saying no, she's not qualified to be president. She doesn't have the temperament. Look, as brilliant as I think she is, as principled as I think she is, I don't think she has the temperament to be president.
So do you think that any of the final candidates that are on the stage in the Democratic Party are acceptable and qualified enough to be vice president?
And
and
you know
any
what I
one
think?
of them was chosen.
So I mean, look, if Bernie Sanders gets the nomination and Bernie Sanders wins, I would love to. No. You know who I would love to see be vice president, because I think that he could be president. I would love to see, if Bernie Sanders became president, I would love to see Andrew Yang as vice president.
That's pretty interesting.
I would love to see
Well,
Andrew Yang.
I think all of them, for the mere fact that they're running for president and they're conducting themselves the way they are, and they are interested in public policy, and they're spend some time in business.
Hey, Kev,
and
something
politics.
still is wrong with your mic. Do you hear that, Diane? Like it's
Yeah, your mic is coming in and out.
It's crackling.
You got another cheap mic that you done bought online.
Can you hear? This is not a cheap phone.
Yeah, it's coming in and out. I
It's
don't know what
coming
the
in and
problem
out.
is.
Yeah.
Are you
Yeah. Hang up and call back.
I don't know if he's moving or something. It's
No,
coming
I'm
in.
not moving.
Okay, whatever you're doing right now is perfect.
Yeah, that sounded good. Oh, he just hung up.
Goodness.
Hello?
Kevin?
Can you hear me?
Now,
Yes.
go ahead.
That's better.
That's a little better.
Can you hear me? Is it better?
No, it's still coming in and out. I
It's
don't.
still-
I don't know.
Yeah, we're just gonna keep going with the show though, but we'll figure it out for future episodes.
Oh man, people are laughing. But anyway, okay.
So that's
Just pick a vice. Any of those people. I'm saying this conversation already. Every one of those people could be vice. But I just asked you a question about Michelle Obama.
Yeah.
Okay, remember, President Obama was a community organizer,
Right.
right? So they made a community organizer. We didn't know anything about his temperament. We didn't know anything about any of it. He was the first soon black president. We all voted for him. 94% voted for him and said we loved him. And he showed up. He showed out well. He did well. He did the best that he can do. But he was not a good politician. He might have been a decent public servant, but he's not a good politician. So he should have probably been the vice president. Michelle should have been the president. Should have been a little bit more gangster for us.
Exactly.
Let's be honest. And Michelle has got some gangster in her. You know, she's like, nah, I don't want to. She would have started negotiating with him differently.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I give it to her. She's a wonderful lady.
okay.
Yeah.
So listen, man. I said two things. I said something this morning of this woman talking about Kobe Bryant.
Yeah,
and the
let me
role.
play that. You want me to play that clip?
Yes, I want to play that. I want everybody to listen to this woman. Informed class, keep your ears open. This is a very, very important clip.
Here we go.
She is somebody who has gone through sexual assault herself. And she said that in the Washington Post. She released an article a couple of years ago detailing her experience. So as a journalist, which is not what we do, we are a talk show with opinion.
But you were a
and I was a journalist for 10 years prior to taking this job. So as a journalist, it's our job to objectively report the news. I know that would be tough if you're someone who survived sexual assault. But when I'm looking at this story, she didn't give the story any context. And she got upset that she was being attacked on Twitter for tweeting a link that basically was condemning Kobe's character and accusing him of rape. But I think her job as a journalist was to put that in context. You have the responsibility and you need to have the journalistic acumen to write the full story. Go to the Washington Post and say, this man is a nuanced character. This man has a detailed, layered history that we need to discuss. But don't just tweet that out and be the political reporter for the Washington Post and tweet that and leave it there. Because you're leaving yourself open to the attacks that you're now receiving. And so whether or not she should be fired, I think that she should be put on leave like she was. I think it's inappropriate because we're in a time where we don't know what journalism is anymore. We have our president that attacks journalists. We have TMZ that broke the news to Vanessa Bryant that her husband passed away. What are we doing now that we need to look at ourselves, people who call themselves journalists? We have journalists attacking a 7-year-old child, which is Blue Ivy, and we look at them calling out her characteristics. We need to do better altogether as journalists. And I look at this woman and I say it was your responsibility just to do better and give it more time than 2 hours after the man passes away to say what you think about him if it's negative. And, don't hide behind somebody else's article. I stand behind a journalist named Jillian Sheldon. She sat at that Kobe trial for 6 weeks. She followed it in Colorado, in and out, stayed there, interviewed all the lawyers, interviewed the woman who was accusing him. And she said, how can we use someone's worst day on this earth as a referendum on their character in totality? And we can't, because just like Kobe, we all have flaws and we're all layered individuals. And we've seen this story time and time again, too many times when it's a black man and a white woman that's an accuser, when that's the story and it goes down and he just goes and gets convicted by the public jury. And we've seen the story too many times where women who have been sexually assaulted cannot give their voice to the public and are not given the space they need to share their story. So this is a complicated thing to talk about, but I really think that as a journalist, if you're going to take that name and that stance and that dignity of a position, you should probably do it properly and just try to tell the complicated story with as much care as possible. And that goes for everybody involved in this Kobe situation. Wow.
No, I think she was spot on.
No, she's absolutely right.
And I think the journalistic culture that is in our society now is so out of touch with reality. Listen, it's clear they're not about being journalists. It's all about clickbait. If I can write a story and Eric can touch it 500 times, I'll keep my job. Nobody does any in-depth research anymore. All the newspapers now are just biased.
Well,
to the point that
yeah, I totally agree with you, Kevin, but you also have to remember that some of these people are not journalists. They didn't go to school for communications. This was not their study. A lot of these people are bloggers, people that just have opinions, who have a social media platform, who land jobs at various different newspapers and media outlets because of their followings, not because of their journalistic skills. And I think that's the problem, because I saw a lot of posts that tried to bring that up into my post, and I deleted them because, I'm not talking about that.
Right.
But when I say journalists, I look at journalists like I would look at a doctor, right? Like I would look at someone takes an oath. So the word journalist has been thrown all out there. But when I look at journalists, I look at the journalists that way. They have principles and values. They understood they understood telling the truth above all would inform the people that they're trying to write for. And journalism now has become a dirty business. It's a dirty business that is driven by oligarchs and only concerned about their bottom line.
Right. So
and they will sell us garbage on a daily basis. And I don't think people that are coming up behind us, Diane and Eric, understand what journalism has done to redefine or define this country, because of some people that are journalists that have told the truth about corruption, told the truth about what we're going to do, all of those things.
But we got to understand this.
We got to define it better so people can understand there are some still good journalists out there.
Right. So, but here's what it is, and I think it was Michael Spruill who called in on the show, and he said this. He said it's infotainment.
Yeah.
We're into infotainment. It's all about click rates. You're right, Kevin. It's all about eyeballs. It's all about driving revenue from advertisers. That is the name of the game, and that's throughout every industry now. There is no moral compass anymore. Everything is about how much money can I make? How can I monetize this? So somebody goes on with a show, and to Diane's point, they don't want journalists now, because a journalist comes out of school and has whatever ethics and values and principles and they adhere to a code. But meanwhile, while that journalist is in school, you got a blogger, a 16-year-old blogger who's got, who's getting, 15, 16,000 likes for something that they put up. And so now when that news station or info station is trying to figure out, well, who do we hire? Do we hire that blogger who's getting 15,000 clicks or views per post? Or do we bring this journalist? Yeah, you know what? They're morally sound. They ascribe to certain ethics and things. And then they start thinking, because the CEO and the CFO comes into the boardroom and says, what? Okay, revenue is down this quarter, right? Advertising is down this quarter. Eyeballs are down this quarter. We need to do something to get these numbers up, or we'll be off the air. Now the decision is made, well, you know what? We're not going to bring that journalist on. We're going to bring this blogger on. And then what we're going to do is create some sensational news stories, some headlines, and we're going to go to attract that audience that we have been conditioning, right, and programming and socially engineering. And that's what they do. And it's a downward trajectory. There's no money in investing in human capital anymore. All of the money is, and so if you understand that downward spiral, it's going to hit rock bottom at some point. So then nobody's looking. I mean, think about it. Nobody's looking at elevating anything. Everybody's looking at playing to the lowest common denominator. But at some point, you reach zero. You reach zero. And then all you have is Honey Boo Boo on the air. And everybody's going to sit there watching Honey Boo Boo drooling from the left side of their mouths.
Well, I don't think they're watching Honey Boo Boo anymore, but I'm even impressed that you know who she is. One of the bigger problems that they have with the release with the release of the news of Kobe Bryant is that TMZ was the first one to put the news out. TMZ has been I guess slapped on the wrist by the police department for putting out the information prior to them having the opportunity to notify the families. However, TMZ just recently put out another article just yesterday, or a statement stating that they did notify Vanessa and did let her know prior to putting out the article in the report of him being deceased, as well as his daughter. The other thing is, what people don't understand is TMZ is owned by an attorney who has inside contacts to the police department, to the air traffic controllers, all of these people that oversee the movings of people in LA entertainment and stuff like that. So they know when stuff happens immediately prior to police actually getting on the scene. So they get the information just as fast as the FAA got it, just as fast as the police department got it. Yes, there should be some type of empathy before you put these things out, but they have been criticized before. They were the first ones to put out the Whitney Houston death. They were the first ones to put out Prince's death, the first one to put out Michael Jackson's death. So people want information, and they want it immediately. So on one hand, they're trying to provide a service. On the other hand, they're very shady on how they provide their service.
Diane, listen.
But in the middle, people still want the information.
But right. So it's all subterfuge.
Oh,
right?
Lord, you just went on and on.
But it's all subterfuge because you look at this.
No, wait a minute, Eric.
But you look at this.
They tried to rationalize.
No, she's not rationalized. She's stating a business fact. So TMZ, and she started off by saying they got slapped on the wrist, right? Which means that there was no fine. They didn't have to pay any money. But look at the money they made by putting the article, by putting it out there. You understand what I'm saying? So they didn't get penalized. So they'll take the verbal slap on the wrist for what the end profit will be. And they'll continue to do it until such time that they see that it is detrimental to their bottom line. They don't care. There are more people who are looking there going, yeah, you know what? TMZ, you know what TMZ is known for now? Breaking the news. Yep. You see, that's what they're known for. So you want to know something?
But they're also known for getting the facts wrong too.
Yeah, so but people don't care.
So there's a thing with TMZ that you have to watch. And there was something with Rick Fox, and he came out and made a statement. He said he was getting phone calls off the hook. His Vanessa Williams was getting phone calls because they thought that he was on the helicopter as well. And TMZ never even released that information. What he found out, Rick Fox found out, was there was some spiteful person on social media who started this up, and it started to flow, which is another problem. People making up information and putting it out there without confirming information with various different sources of media.
There's a code of conduct when you're a real journalist. You know, and if you're really interested in, doing good news, reporting good news, that every journalist has to take code of ethics. And I dare say majority of those journalists now don't live by that code of ethics, because these companies, MSNBC, who's owned by I forgot who they're owned by now, Viacom or whatever. All of those companies now, is getting back to your point, was only driven by their bottom line. If Donald Trump was not the president of the United States of America today, majority of those people that are on TV trying to make names with themselves, right? Political correspondent, White House correspondent, they would be off the air because there would be nothing to talk about. Donald Trump has fueled this industry at a whole nother level. And when this man leaves, and when he leaves, I dare say a lot of those New York Times, Washington Post is owned by a billionaire, so you'll keep funding that. But all of those major papers all around the world that's been fueling the Trump narrative, and all those papers are being sold online and being sold, hard copies. They're doing quite well.
Absolutely. So from the feed, Layla says that if ABC had the story first, they would have put it out first. If Vanessa was notified, what more do people want from them? That's the business they're in.
Well, this is true too. So we gotta say that. We talk about the celebrity class, right? The celebrity class wants to live by the sword, but they don't want to die by the sword. But it's the same sword, right? So the same sword that puts out information, TMZ, that puts out a sensational headline that leads to us watching the latest movie or buying the latest book or, watching the latest biopic on Netflix, right? That same TMZ that got them that multi-million-dollar mansion, right, by putting this stuff out there for us to consume, is the same TMZ that says we're not changing, we're still putting stuff out. This is what we do. But now we want them in this instance to be different. And we I'm just concerned about having it both ways, right? So
I think what TMZ did was absolutely horrible. They were horrible. The woman's home, she's eating a piece of cake, she got 3 kids, and they call her, "Oh, your husband's dead." Oh, come on, get the hell out of here. That's inappropriate. They were inappropriate. They should have found a better way to manage that. It was a live scene.
Listen, man, look, a pig is a pig, Kev. Right?
No,
so a pig wallows in slop, and a pig wallows in slop, and all of a sudden when the pig gets dirty, you don't want it to be a pig anymore. But you like bacon, right?
I said here.
But you like bacon, right? So the pig is the pig.
I said here while y'all were talking about all of these other things. I'm just saying about TMZ, right? I don't want to talk about them. They don't even matter. They're garbage. That's infotainment.
No, but they're garbage either way. You can't. That's my point to you. So they're always.
There is
garbage.
no point. I said they were garbage.
They're always
garbage.
garbage.
You gonna make another point on top of the point that they're not garbage? I'll say garbage. You're gonna give me a point on the point that they're not garbage. Leave me alone, Eric. They're garbage. They were wrong.
But I think they're wrong. I think they're always wrong.
Right? Don't you know he had a last word?
No, because he's always got the point of the point to the point of the point of the point. I want to hear your point today. They were terrible. A woman's probably nursing a brand new baby. They're horrible.
But did you see her comment on Twitter? She came public and she made a comment, and I thought it was.
I didn't see it.
It was very classy. She offered.
Why can't people just let us mourn? This is the thing.
Because you live in the public eye.
There you go.
No.
Thank you, Diane.
When you're part of
That's
celebrity,
right. No, I'm saying something.
It is no different when you are a politician,
something different.
when you are an entertainer or married to one of the both.
So you just rationalizing bad behavior.
I'm not
saying to you
I'm telling what the truth is.
No, can I just go back to what the lady said in her first clip, because she articulated it very, very well. But I just want to ask everybody to do me one thing. I want to ask the Corporation of White Supremacy. Can you just give us a break today? We're mourning Kobe Bryant.
They're not listening.
Let me tell you what. Let me give you an example about white supremacy and how insidious it is. They went right to work on the man's character immediately. See, that's white supremacy. Oh, no. Not going to let you make him a hero. Oh, no. Even if it's a whole family died. Oh, no. But we got to bring you back to that one instance in his life that he was found not guilty, right? And if you listen to his words, he realized he had not only repented for it, but he wanted to change his life for it. So here's a man dead, wherever he was on that field. And the first thing these white feminists did, and the same thing the Corporation of White Supremacy did, was to tar and feather him while his body was charred on that field. That's the Corporation. I'm asking everybody, Corporation of White Supremacy, just give us a break for it. I know you're diligent. I know what you want. Just give us a break for it. Give us a break for today. Jesus, the man is dead.
Well, I'm pretty sure the Willie Lynch letters didn't tell them that there was a day off for us. So.
Hey, Diane, that was good. That was very good, Diane. Boom.
I don't know what's up next, Eric.
Yeah, I can't step on that one, man.
I ain't stepping on that one.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Diane. That was good, Di.
So, what? There were a couple things that were in.
Don't we have our AOC clip? Do you have the AOC clip?
Which AOC clip? Which one?
Well, Bernie Sanders rally. I sent them to you.
No, you got to let me know that you want me to pull them up as clips. I watch it, but I pull them up. I'll make them into clips if you guys ask me to.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah.
Well, did you hear that Mendici is out of jail now? And
No, but let's talk about the AOC clip. What is the AOC clip?
Well, actually, she was saying the things that we have been saying on the show. You know, she actually, I thought she was listening to the Eric Dawson show. We listened to the clip. But maybe we could put that on the top of the hour and show at the top of the hour. So who got out of jail today? Who got out of jail today?
Oh, well, the other day, Mendici, who is Yandy's boyfriend, longtime boyfriend, and she has kids with, is out of jail. Do you know who Yandy is, Kevin? Tell me you know, because you know this person. You know who it is.
No, I don't know who it is.
Yandy is the friend to the person that was on Love and Hip Hop that came to Newark to try and buy up the property from Implode.
Oh, not that girl. Not that girl. I can't even tell you what I was looking to say about it on the radio. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Diane, you know what?
That's
So you know what you can do? Because I won't be able to pull up the video clip. But do you know it's something that's on AOC's Instagram? If you could pull it up, Diane, you could actually play the audio through your phone.
AOC? Okay.
Right? It's the AOC clip that Kevin sent. And so once you get it, just let the audio play through your phone, and we'll have a conversation about it.
No, Kevin sent it to me. I don't have it.
Yes, ma'am. Let me ask you a question. Let's go back to this person that's supposed to get all of this property in the city of Newark, and she's going to, whatever she says she's going to do, it's all maximum sophisticated confusion. But why are we talking about her being in jail, out of jail? Because wasn't she in jail?
No. She wasn't in jail. Her boyfriend. The boyfriend.
No, I'm saying, but the young lady that was interviewed at
City Hall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she was in prison.
No, her boyfriend.
Listen to me. I want you to listen to me. I have the pictures when she. And
you got the jail cell shots, Kev?
I have the pictures. So now, see, I'm trying to tell you, I'm a reliable source. I'm a real functioning journalist.
You sent me the pictures so I can confirm.
I'm not going to beat on that. I'm not going to beat on that. But what I'm trying to say to you, why are we talking about somebody that just got out of jail?
Okay, we not. Now we're talking about AOC. So Bernie Sanders on his Instagram says we should be scared of what will happen if we don't. Here's the clip.
Thank you, sis.
It's coming. All right, so she'll get it up.
No, it is up. It's running. What are you talking about?
I can't
We don't hear it.
We don't hear it.
Oh, well, I don't know what to tell you.
Can you hear it?
Yeah, I can hear it.
Huh. Okay, so
Let's move on from that. But I thought it was a very powerful speech that she gave, and I should have done a better job of queuing it up. So, Diane, so I feel sorry for both of them, They're going to do quite well. They're going to go back to their usual business of extorting and stealing and conning, And they're...
Oh, did you want me to play it through my laptop? Is that what it was?
Yeah, and no, because if you could play it. Yeah, we just want to be able to hear it.
Okay, wait. Okay, so stop.
Hello.
We're having technical difficulty this morning. So, Eric.
Yep.
But the AOC's piece reminded me of the stuff that we were talking about.
Stop talking, Kevin. I'm trying to play it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I had you on mute, so I wouldn't have you anywhere. So y'all gonna hear yourself, but here it comes.
Sorry. Yeah, but AOC's piece reminded me of the stuff that we were
Just wait 1 second, because y'all are replaying back. Just wait. Okay.
I'm sorry. I had you on mute, so I wouldn't have you anywhere. So y'all gonna hear yourself.
No, Diane, turn it off. That's not going to work.
No, it's not going to work.
No, it's not going to work, Diane. Diane, turn it off. Thank you.
Not going to work. We blew that one. But that's That happens occasionally.
It's Kevin's fault.
Yeah, it is my fault. I should have said it.
That bus again and didn't make that second stop.
Actually, you know what, Diane? I deserve that one. Listen.
That's okay.
I mean, I have these.
But just tell me, what was it just to her speech? What was she talking about?
Well, she was actually talking about the things we were talking about. How we need to put ourselves in our shoes and go out and fight for change. But she did it so eloquently, though. And I don't want to step on it, but tomorrow, we'll cue it up and we'll try to get it done. So, WBGO closed, got rid of its, I guess I have to say, a white woman that was engaged in, allegations of racial discrimination. Gas station resigned. She resigned because it was a big push to get her out. But the thing, I want to give some backdrop about WBGO. WBGO had a brother that had been there for years, and he died suddenly. He was a great guy. But what I was trying to tell people about WBGO, which is one of the oldest jazz stations in the country, in the world, and everybody from around the world listens to WBGO. It's great to have WBGO in New York, and it's independent. It's its own for-profit, non-profit, and there's been a move on the board to deal with this discrimination and racial retaliation that's been going on. So this woman resigns. Amy Niles, she resigns. But the young man that was dying, he wasn't interested in trying to place a black man like himself or a black woman like himself. He placed that woman there knowing that she did not have the acumen or the temperament to run WBGO. So I kind of blamed him for that. I blamed him for this process that they're going through right now. And it was a hard process. And, they thought that it was going to get better. It didn't get better, and she's left. But now let me tell you the thing that I find interesting. There was a quote from Mayor Ras Baraka, M5. After all the work that has been done to get rid of the woman, he weighs in. So I got calls from people that weren't involved in the project. I mean, but involved in this horrible situation of WBGO. They say he never was involved in this. He never weighed in on this. And they thought it was pretty insulting that he did. I say, listen, what do you want me to do about that? I kind of figured that he had nothing to do with it. He gave that opaque, monotone, response to it. And I said, now I hope you guys don't allow that kind of stuff to get admired and, what's going to happen with WBGO in the future. So they're doing this national research. But then I took the liberty, Eric, telling the Diane that your programming sucks. I said, your programming sucks. I said, the program that you guys do with the mayor sucks. I said, I said, because what does it mean? It doesn't mean anything. It's not interactive. You should have another, if you're going to do that kind of business, you should have another voice talking about real issues. If you want to cut out a space like that to talk about what's going on. I said, because the show looks really political.
Well, but
it doesn't work.
Right,
but wasn't that how WBGO started? Wasn't it a political outlet for the mayor at the time?
It's stupid. Because I'll give you an example. There's no give and take. What is the show?
It's a propaganda channel.
It's propaganda. It doesn't
I'm sorry, not the show. The station. Isn't that how the station started? It was a one-off from one of the previous mayors that started.
No.
Did they have investment in it at some point? I thought I read.
No, WBGO is a staple institution in the city of New York, and politics has never played a real role in WBGO. Jazz, music, arts, culture, international jazz. That place is very well needed. I'm glad it's in New York, but to come back and give a comment which you had nothing to do with was offensive to me. I just took the liberty of telling some of the people that their programming was horrible.
Yeah.
So going backwards, Kevin, what actually happened at WBGO that led to this resignation?
Well, there were cases of discrimination and retaliation, racial discrimination and retaliation, and the board had enough, and it was a toxic environment, and they made a decision to have her step down.
Okay.
But I just wanted to give some more context to the WBGO narrative. So I said, look, fix your programming. Bring some people in that's going to link WBGO to the state, to the world. Right now, there's just It's just a group of people inside the can, and it's all bullcrap.
Right, and they're not going to change it. Listen, I've got the clip for the audio for
Okay, good.
AOC.
This is good production day.
So I'm gonna play it. Here we go.
No matter what, time advances. We decide if society advances with it. We decide. Just because the clock ticks doesn't mean progress happens. We have to fight for it. We have to demand a radical new vision aligned with the century that we're actually living in. That at its core is what we are fighting for. And you know, it's funny because I hear out in the public and in the public square, and we talk about campaigns and debates. People always talk about how policies like Medicare for All or a Green New Deal or the decarceration of our unjust system or breaking up ICE and CBP, they call these things unrealistic. They call it unrealistic. You know what I think is so funny? I go back to DC, and when we discuss these issues behind closed doors, those folks who argue against those same policies behind closed doors, they never tell me it's unrealistic. They don't use that same argument in the Capitol. The argument that they use is, we will lose. We will lose if we do this. And aha, now I've gotten to the bottom of this issue. It's not that we can't, it's that we're scared. It's not that we can't, it's that we're scared. I spent so many years of my life scared. I spent so many years of my life scared. I spent years of my life scared that I wasn't going to be able to make rent at the end of the month, scared that I might get sick and not afford a doctor, scared that the lights might be turned off on my mom's house when I get home, scared right now to this day with my grandmother in Puerto Rico who is oxygen dependent, and this horrifying administration isn't participating in being part of the solution. I'm sick of being scared. I want to solve these problems once and for all. We should not be scared of what will happen if we try. We should be scared of what will happen if we don't.
Now, so that's the difference between existing, right, and surviving. So being in the scared state that we're in, we're just existing, right? And we need to fight to survive. We're not fighting, because we're paralyzed by fear. So, and in fact, I mentioned this yesterday. Talked about the fear.
I think that if you're going to gauge what kind of candidate or what kind of human being or what kind of public servant you want fighting for you, I wouldn't want that girl fighting for me. We might not agree on everything, but I know at the core of who she is, she's looking fear in the face. She knows what being scared is all about. She knows the pain of not having it. And she didn't go there and sit down and just become a part of the big old boys club and went to sleep like the rest of the people we sent down to Washington. This young lady is an example. She said, I'm sick and tired of being scared. I'm sick and tired of, the things that are happening in my life, and we have to stop being scared.
Right. And so
the greatest Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I don't hear sound bites from AOC. I'm not a fan of her. There's some things I like and don't like, but I don't understand. No, I'm not buying it.
Yeah. So here's what.
Hey, wait a minute. Time out. You don't just go get to say yeah. Yeah. Wait, 1 minute.
Go ahead, Kevin.
Wait a minute. Say it, Kevin.
Okay. I clearly said she's a young lady. You have to like her. And has gone down to Washington and set it on fire. She's a young lady that puts her life out there. She said, I've lived scared. And you know what? In order to win this battle, we have to stop being scared. We have to put our shoes with our feet with no shoes, which is the greatest territory we have, and go out there and fight so we can stop being scared.
Well, that's fine for her, but she and I don't connect. And usually when you vote for people and you look for people and seek them as being leaders and whatever it is they're doing, there has to be a connection. She and I just don't connect.
Right.
Her story is not my story, and I'm okay with that.
No,
right.
But it's not for me.
Diane,
Kevin,
when you're looking at other candidates that we have to deal with every day, up and down the ballot, right, the bottom part of the ballot, right? Would you rather see more of her and more of Pressley? Right? Would you see more of her?
oh yes, absolutely. I would like to see more women like that are standing out and speaking out. But she ain't got
But they're just not speaking out. They're doing it.
But she just doesn't speak to me.
Right.
I don't have that passion behind her like I'm an AOC supporter. I think she's okay. She's just okay.
Right. So
on 1 to 10, she's okay.
So here's what I'm gonna
Lord
suggest.
have mercy.
Lord. Here's what I'm gonna suggest. When we look at what's taking place right now in Washington, everybody knows. Every single one of those Republicans and Democrats know that Donald Trump should be impeached and removed. The reason they're not doing it is because of fear. All of them. They're weighing their political futures, right, on the decisions that they make. So they're not looking, so they give us the impression that they're fighting for the Constitution, that they're fighting for our democracy, right? And a lot of them, Republicans and Democrats, Lindsey Graham and the rest of them on the Republican side stood there 4 years ago and said that electing Donald Trump would be a huge mistake and it would crumble our democracy. Well, I dare say, Diane, that what is happening now is fear runs the risk of crumbling our democracy. That not Donald Trump, and Kevin and I talked about this earlier today. You've got these independent branches, right? You've got the judiciary, you've got the legislative branch, you've got the executive branch. If all of them work with courage, right, they will root this out. But because they're operating in fear, well, will Donald Trump primary me? What will happen with my voters? How will people think of it? So none of them are operating like this. And so if we want to just keep kicking the can down the road to death, then we can operate on fear. So if for no other reason, so I get that there are some nuances, and I took a brick to AOC's head when she stood on the stage and made that comment, and we played it on this show where she said, I want to get back to when America was good. And I said, wait a minute, she's not speaking to our experience as foundational Black Americans, because it's never been good. However, if her fundamental fight is to tear down this system, I can align with her on that one thing. And then once the system is torn down, I'm not suggesting that you do, you're going to make your own decision. But for me, I'm saying, what unites us? And the biggest thing that unites us is tearing down, is identifying this system that is destroying both of us, meaning her, the people she represents, and me, and the people that I'm supporting. And to say, you know what, let us both unite on tearing this system down. Now, once we tear this system down and that system is gone, then yeah, AOC and I might have to get in the middle of the ring and put some gloves on and fight some stuff out. But you know what? At least the system won't be.
The reason why this young woman is effective, and she will continue to be effective, and she will continue to evolve, is because she's talking to someone. She's talking about her experience and what got her here, right? Because she took the risk, but her life experience about living experience, she's talking directly to those people. She hits them right in the heart. Because I can see how they're looking at her while she's talking. Everything she said, they're living it right there. And that's why Donald Trump plays to his past the way he does. That's why a lot of the great politicians do that. Okay? So leave her alone, Diane.
Okay. So,
Can I read some of the stuff in the feed? Can I read some of the stuff in my feed?
Oh, you going to the feed? I was going to the feed. Go ahead.
And then you go. You got stuff in YouTube.
No, go ahead. Go, Kevin, go.
Kathy Fellows, I think we should all trust instincts. You go, Diane. You ready for this? This is Diane in response to what you were saying, Eric. No.
That wasn't my response to her. See, this is why you should read the feed, old man. She's responded to Tamisha at the top, and they talking about Kobe Bryant. I want you to read stuff in order, not from the bottom, from the top down.
You read the rest of it. You messed up all day.
Guys, I'm not seeing the vision. He said Diane is not AOC in the vision. So what Tamisha and they were talking about at the top with Renee was in regards to you have to go all the way up. Oh gosh.
See, I think that part of it. I'm sorry,
go ahead.
I think so. So here's what I want to ask again. And look, I'm not particularly trying to get people on AOC's train. That's not my goal here. My goal is to see if we can be unified around what page we're on in history. And so the vision for me is to seize economic and political power. The vision for me is that in order to seize it, we have to go and fight against the system that has been subjugating us. That's the vision. Now, I see that vision because every time I drive through our communities or our neighborhoods, whatever you want to call them, I see the devastation, right? I see the collateral damage from the $1 trillion war Nixon fought against us. I see the damage of the war on drugs that came through the Reagan administration. I see the damage from the hundreds of years of government-sanctioned racist policies. I see the collateral damage. And so for me, the vision is clear. The only way to extricate ourselves from our current condition is to seize economic and political power and for foundational Black Americans to receive repair for the damage that was done. That's the vision. I see that vision. Now, if somebody says, you know what, I can't help you build your whole house, but I certainly can help demo this one, then I'm saying, I didn't help me demo it. And now I'm going to work with the people who are going to help me build the house that we need to be in so that we can start surviving and not just existing.
But look what we're talking about here. Look what we're talking about. We're talking about a young lady that was a waitress, went to school. You know, she said she had some fear in her life, and we all know what that experience is about. But, and then look at our congressman in my district. I don't hear from him. I know him because we grew up in the same neighborhoods. But I don't know anything that he's doing that's having an impact on my life. Not one thing. And if I did ask him, he would probably give me 4 to 5 things, and then I'll probably go to the bathroom and shoot myself. So now look at AOC. He just put out another story. The story last week says he was the most popular. We kind of figured out that was crazy. Now he puts out another article saying that he has $83,000 in the bank. And then when I look at what AOC is doing, when I look at what those other young dynamic people in the Congress in their first year, and I look at his whole 10 years, I think 10 years or 12 years he's going to be in office, I should be afraid for my life. That young lady, because of the work she's doing and what she's committing herself to do by being a better public servant, she has $2 million in the bank. And you know what she's doing there? Now, because she has the $2 million in the bank, she's raising money for other people that are like mine because she got the money to do it now. And she's raising money for them.
Right.
You know what my congressperson is? My congressperson is a tool of the oligarch. My congressperson basically has put himself in the Negro Whisper program. My congressman is engaged in poverty propaganda, and his job is to work with the system, work with the democratic system that has no relationship with black people outside of being a commodity to their wealth, right? And I get sick to my stomach every time I think about that.
Yeah. So my question is to Gaetano, because I would like to know. He says he doesn't see her vision. My question is, what's your vision? That's my question. What is your vision?
Oh no, you know what?
No, he didn't say he didn't see the vision. I didn't see the vision.
Oh.
Gaetano was saying I'm not seeing the vision.
Right. So the question becomes, what is the vision? What is the vision? Because I think that if and I get that we're not monolithic, I get that we're not whatever, but people on a cruise ship, right, that's sinking, they're not monolithic, but they can unify around not wanting to die, right, on the ship that's sinking. And so I'm saying, what single thing, or is there a single thing that we can unify around and say that is the thing? Now, we may splinter off in some other areas, but if you had 2,000 people on a cruise ship that was sinking, those people would say, I don't want to drown. Now, how they go about not drowning, right, whatever they try to do, all roads are leading to them trying to save their lives. So I'm simply asking, what is the vision to attempt to try to save your life? That's the question that I'm asking. Hello?
Yeah,
Yep.
I'm listening to you.
No.
Well, listen, here's the deal. I think that by having this conversation about AOC and then doing some comparable analysis to our local elected official who's a congressman, I can make a decision. I can make a clear decision.
Right.
Conscious decision that I want a person like her as opposed to a person like him. So if you go to the polls and you continue to vote for a person like him because you are more Democrat than Black American, well, you deserve what you get and all the additional horrors you're going to get. Because he's never going to fight for you. He's been eating off of you, but he's not going to fight for you.
Well, not only is he not going to fight for you, Kevin, go further. Please, go further. Not only is he not going to fight for you.
Wait a minute, though. Let me finish my point. You can add to it. So now you took me off my point, goddamn. That's what I'm saying. I'm old. I cannot keep it in my head as long as I used to. So you go ahead.
But not only is he not going to fight for you, but he's going to actively work against you.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, that's happening every day. That's happening every day because we're not supposed to ask these questions. We're not supposed to draw comparisons to what other districts and other cities are getting compared to what we're getting. And it's like when you go buy an orange or buy a peach or buy a watermelon or buy anything. You see one watermelon over here and another watermelon. You're going to see you're going to try to pick the sweetest watermelon. But we keep picking the most unsweetened watermelon or apple or orange all the time. So that means we're not even good consumers at any level then. So I'm just saying, look what they're sending to Washington and look what we have in Washington. Look what they're sending to their state legislature, and the majority of their state legislature now Black. They're running major parts of New York City's government, right. New York State. Yeah. Look what we had.
So I'm gonna ask you again. So for me, and this is just for me, guys. But when I say, and I don't use this show to talk about my candidacy, but just give me a minute, literally 60 seconds. So when I talk about going to Washington, if you guys support and elect me, it is to take a sledgehammer to Washington to tear down the system. And I'm going to join with any of them who have sledgehammers who are trying to tear down the system. Now, I believe that that's what she's doing. I believe that that's what Ayanna Pressley is doing. I believe that that's what Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib are doing. That's what I believe Bernie Sanders wants to do, tear down the system. Now, beyond that, we will have some disagreements, because what I believe needs to be erected once the system is torn down needs to have foundational Black Americans at the center and core of it. And that will then become my fight. But the first thing, you can't build that until you tear down what currently exists. So for me, one thing first is to build the proper infrastructure. So all of the policies, and we talked about this before, all of the policies that people say that they support and want to do, and how they want to fix this and do, none of that will happen until you seize economic and political power. And the only way you can do that is by tearing down the current construct. There
you go. So if we can have more of, listen, I just started paying attention. You got me paying attention. I saw several articles come out through some other news outlet. I can't remember these other news outlets. They're very independent news outlets. And all of a sudden, you have two articles that I thought were very funny. The first one is say he was the most popular. And the second one says he has $83,000 in the bank. Now, if I was his handler, I would have never allowed anybody to put that in big paper. Not when AOC, not when Hakeem, not when those guys, which are, they're institutional. Hakeem's an institutional guy. He'll probably have $1 million, $1.5 million soon, right? Because of his new position. That's fine. They need money to run elections. But they're taking it from the oligarchs. They're not doing what AOC and them are doing. But when you see that talent, that kind of talent, what's happening in Union County with Jamel Holland, we should be ashamed of ourselves. Like, I want people to feel bad. I want people to feel bad. Just like I saw in Hillside the other day with the mayor of Hillside. I mean, it's offensive to me. But I guess we are all to blame in those districts because we don't push back and fight back and say, listen, why don't you just retire? Why don't you just go away? Everybody just ask the candidates, why don't you just go away? Because the Democratic Party is actually working against you. I mean, unfortunately, it shouldn't be that way, but they're working against you. So that's my position. So Diane, we have any pop news today? I'm tired of these people.
I know.
Well, I told you Mendici was home from jail. I guess that's it, huh?
Who's home from jail?
I told you Mendici was home from jail. But
I
look,
don't know who Mendici is.
Did you see this article? I sent an article. I know you probably didn't see it late. It says, do Ring cameras violate the wiretapping laws? In New Hampshire, they're trying to find out if it's actually a wiretapping violation of their laws in New Hampshire. Because, like in New Jersey, taping person or taping conversations, they state that you only have to have one person to consent. Well, in New Hampshire, there happened to be an incident between two siblings. They got into an argument on the front porch. One sibling shot the other sibling, and then the prosecutors wanted to subpoena the cameras from the Ring doorbell from the neighbor across the street. So what they're saying is that New Hampshire is one of 12 states that requires all parties to conversation to consent to audio taping. And while the police have been eager to use the video footage from private Ring cameras, they've been urged by Amazon, the own company, that aggressive marketing and a national criminal defense and civil liberties expert says the audio recordings pass into untested and concerning legal territory.
Wow, that's an interesting one. But I think everybody should be notified if they're being taped. I don't think you need one person's consent.
Well, in New Jersey, the law is one person.
Yeah.
So basically, you could sit in a meeting with the mayor, and they can take the meeting.
Well, not in Newark, because he takes their phones and he puts them in plastic bags.
I guess he don't know about the little lapels and everything else you can videotape and take stuff. Are you kidding me? He's that paranoid?
Well, John, I believe that the surveillance that we were used to is gone. Mm-hmm. Now, their surveillance is so sophisticated. They can take the Ring bell that I have on my door and listen to everything that's going on in my house right now.
Right. Well, that's this is what they're talking about with a lot of the high tech electronics that we have in our home. We always talk about the Amazon, the Google, and all of these different things, and Alexa. They're always listening because they're always on. unless they're not plugged in. The same with these smart TVs. You got smart refrigerators, smart washer and dryers, everything. So some things are just a little bit too smart for the human being.
Well, look, when it comes to surveillance...
And then wait, go back. So now, remember what we were talking about the other day about Aaron Hernandez? About if anybody saw the Netflix series on his life, up to his death, when he became so paranoid, he had cameras throughout the inside and the outside of his house, and those cameras that filmed the inside of his house was some of the things that helped prosecute him.
Right.
Even though they didn't have sound, they had, visual.
Well, Just Shady said your phone is the biggest surveillance system, and that's the truth.
It is the truth. It's on all the time. When you have it lying down and you're talking, it's recording. I realized this last night. I was on the phone with my cousin Mark. You guys have seen him. We post his ad up here, the Fun Coach. And I was talking to him. He called me up to tell me that he landed 2 new clients, right? And so we were talking about that. And literally, as we're talking, I then go to my Facebook. I have it on speaker, and I go to my Facebook, and sure enough, his Fun Coach logo and ad shows up in my feed. That's not the first time that's happened. It happened. It happens frequently. And I talked to my daughter once. She said, "Daddy, Siri's always listening," and I believe that. Listen, I want to read something. I'm not gonna indicate who it came from, but it's on Facebook, so it's in public domain. But this kind of gets to the heart of what we talk about here in terms of maximum sophisticated confusion, right? It says, anyone who cares about New Jersey and its people should be exploring ways to make a difference, whether it's running for office or otherwise. There are at least 3 overlapping crises facing the state. Economic. New Jersey is one of the most unaffordable states in the country. The middle class and the poor are struggling to get by. We have the highest property tax in the country and the 3rd highest combined tax burden in the nation. Housing costs are sky high, with 1/4 of residents spending an unsustainable half of their income on housing. Businesses and entrepreneurs are leaving the state, so wages and good-paying jobs are in too short demand. And the state budget is heading toward bankruptcy as we have more debt than any other state in the country, too.
So what does that have to do with the rating surveillance?
Right, no. I said I wanted to move on.
I missed that part.
I'm sorry. Unsurprisingly, therefore, residents are also leaving, and young people who go away to college rarely come back. So on a net basis, we lead the nation in the number of people moving out. These issues have simmered for so many years, and they began with poor leadership in the 1990s that piled on costs and debt. But the question now isn't who started the fire, but who's going to put it out.
Okay. Well, I didn't start the fire, but I want to blow it up.
Now,
I didn't start the fire.
What's that song?
Let me just be clear. Let me be clear on. Let me tell you what I'm not going to do in the later part of my life. I am not. It's not about appeasement for me anymore. It's not about appeasement. I really do believe, after doing all of the work we've done, after doing all of the private work we've done, that this process has to be blown up. And if you're not talking like that, right? It doesn't. Nobody's going to do anything if you're not talking about it. I mean, talking about blowing it up. People are just going to go right to sleep. People are looking for something different to get them, push themselves out of their houses and into those communities. And they're looking for somebody that they can trust. There's no trust. No trust. So I'm happy that people are starting to talk about whatever they're talking about, but it's got to be about blowing it up. It ain't about maintaining it, because we've maintained it already.
Yeah.
So, that's it.
Whose background noise? Is that you, Eric?
This is the song that I was looking for today. Who started the fire?
No.
You remember the song? I'm sorry.
No, but no. What do you think about that, Diane? What do you think about that?
So
I have no thoughts.
So here's this is the reason I read it.
I like that you have no thoughts. I like that, but you would say that. I appreciate that.
Here's the reason I read it, and I'm sorry for that audio clip. It didn't work out the way I wanted it to. But again, this is all confusion, right? Like you just said, Kevin. It's all about blowing it up. It's all about blowing it up. All of those things are just more talking points, right? The economy needs to change. Housing needs to. If you're not speaking about political power, nothing's going to change. None of those things, right? The economy stuff isn't going to change. The housing stuff isn't going to change. Whatever you say is wrong with the business stuff isn't going to change. The reason why college students go off to college and never come back to it, none of that's going to change because all of that is a result of policy, right? And those policies only change when you have political power. So if you're not fighting for political power, if there's no will to fight to shift the paradigm.
And you know what, Eric? There's nothing wrong with the word, and I think when you say fight to people, they don't know how to. I really believe that they don't know how to manage that. When you say fight, fight's not bad. Fighting is not a bad thing. You know, like everything's bad. Everything bad is black. Right. Like when you say fight or radical, that's when you talk about black people in that way. It's all bad. But there's nothing wrong with fighting because I dare say that you would fight for your animals at home. You would fight for. You will fight for a good, clean environment. You will fight for your home. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with fighting for something. I think that when you hear the word fighting, people say, "Oh, fight." No, you have to fight. You have to push up in somebody's face. The Tea Party did it. The LGBT community did it. Every group did it. I don't understand when it comes to us, when we say the word fight, we get all crazy. Well, we just got to get along. Maybe we sit there. That has never worked.
Yeah. The system, the establishment is never going to produce the remedy, right? They're the ones who created the problem. So they're not going to produce a remedy because the problem they created is feeding them, right?
Let's ask a question. Has your life gotten better in the last 50 years? Have your life gotten better in the last 25 years? Have you heard these stories outside of what we're talking about over and over again? And you know what the return on investment has been? It's been zero. So now, you just think logical. Just be logical in this space. Let's not, be crazy. So if you don't fight something, you got zero return on your investment. If you know you keep voting using the same thought process to be somebody else's commodity or to be herded as capital, you get a zero return for that. So I can go on and on and on. So in your space, in your heart, in your mind, when your kids come through that door, and when you talk about AOC saying, I was afraid, I'm sick and tired of being afraid, and the reason why I ran for Congress was because I wanted to do what? Bring political power, right, and economic power, and use my voice to get it for my people, whoever they might be. Now, that's a logical approach. And then if you want to be more logical, how do you identify more as a Democrat as opposed to a black American, a foundational black American descendant of slaves, which will give you a bandwidth of history that shows that everything that we've purchased thus far has been a failure. Damn, you ain't got to be the brightest guy. You ain't got to be the brightest bulb in the bunch, right? These are logical discussions. This is very logical. It's not emotional. It's very logical. So let's take the emotion out. So now that if you hear us say this one way, a different way, another certain way, I hope it registers. Because when you're sitting around the table and people are saying, we just got to vote and we got to get rid of Trump, I hope you start to tell them this is not about Trump. This is about my leaders finally understanding that we need political power and what's the other one, Eric?
Oh, economic power.
Economic power. I can't keep it up.
But what's going to happen is this.
Kevin, you can keep telling them about it's not Trump. They will continuously say, we have to vote for whatever Democrat they put up to get him out. Because, and this is a conversation from yesterday, a person in West Orange said, because my property taxes is too high and I can't deduct more than 10,000 anymore off of Schedule A.
Get a better account. So anyway, that's ridiculous. But this is what she said. But because you know what?
Got every excuse under the world. But as soon as you ask the question, what did Trump do to you? What did he do? They really don't have an answer.
Well, that's my whole point to you, Diane.
They've been programmed.
But that's my whole point, and I mean that's what I'm trying to get to. And so when I see these bullet points, because that's really what they are, right? They again are just the medicine that keeps you comfortable while you're in hospice. So, to talk to you about, how we're going to, address the economy, or how we're going to address the housing issue, or not even how we're going to address it, but just to remind you that it exists. Because there's no talk about how to really address it, because there is no plan, because there can't be a plan, because you're not seizing power. We're not seizing political power. So all you can do is talk about the things that exist. So everybody's, high crime, people are leaving, taxes are too high, the state is too expensive. We already know that. The thing is, without a coalition of independent, and I don't mean independent with a capital I in terms of Democrat, Republican, independent. I'm talking about independent, meaning that you're not bought into or predisposed with a particular ideology, right? But you're open-minded. You can go in there and think about this. But without independent people who are focused on serving people, you can't accomplish anything. You need those people. And so if you're part of a system and you're relying on people who are also a part of the system to try to change something that the system is benefiting from, that's illogical.
That is illogical. I mean, and look, if we're using logic, majority of the conversations we have is based in logic. So I just gotta know. I want to know. I want to run into people when people talk to me about this, because I'm curious. I'm curious. You don't use logic when you think about these things. You don't say, well, for the last 50 years, I brought this program with zero return. When they talked about healthcare, when they talked about those things, well, that's some good stuff, but that has nothing to do with me. Right. That's just a byproduct of just being around.
See, because he becomes a problem. Whether or not, let's assume, right, I'm running against an assemblyman or a state senator or whomever that was propped up by the party. And I'm running against that person, right? And I'm talking about the issues that individual created, right? Which they really didn't create. They're just a part of the system that created it. But they're the face now that we can point to and say they did it. Now, if I'm not just talking about removing that guy or that woman, as well as removing the system that's propping him or her up, then what am I really talking about doing? So it's not just, I can't just look at John Smith and say, you know what, John Smith is a horrible council person. We need to remove John Smith. Well, no, I need to gut the entire system that birthed John Smith. Because if I'm the only one talking about John Smith, that means that entire system behind him would continue to prop him up. Right? And so me simply trying to cut that branch off when I realize that the entire root system is rotten, I need to dig the whole tree out.
Well, listen, you're going to have a lot of people in the next couple of months coming before you. I dare say that anybody that's coming before you to talk about what they want to do and how they want to do it, we should start off with the question we just told you about for the last 5 days. But I think you should be open-minded. I think you should talk to Republicans. I think you should talk to Democrats. I think you should talk to independents. Because as we've told you, all of them are from the same club to a point. But you might get a good feel for the things that if you're having a discussion with them based on what we're saying on the show, it might give you a better feel on how to articulate that to them. Because a lot of these guys are going to do what's normally given to them. You got to say this on Medicaid. You got to say this on social justice. You got to say this on the environment. And none of these guys have done the work. None of them. So it's interesting.
Oh, I gotta say this. So did you see the headline that just came out? Literally just came across my feed. Here's the headline. After Kobe merchandise sells out, Nike is now evaluating how to handle future sales.
Well, yeah, that happens with everybody. When somebody famous passes away, all of their stuff flies out the market. It was the same thing with Michael Jackson. Everybody was running out to buy off-the-wall albums and CDs and all paraphernalia and all of that stuff as well. So what do they say? You always they make more money dead than they do alive.
Well, guess what? One thing for certain, one thing for sure. I mean, unfortunately, his death, he was transferring wealth anyway. But his family would be well off with that pain. They have to live with that pain.
His family, his grandkids, his great-grandkids, and their kids to be. So he's got 3 generations worth of wealth that he's created by himself.
I want to ask you this question, right? Mm-hmm. So we had a conversation about how media profits off of his tragedy, right? By sensationalizing it, by not being sensitive to the family, by being the first to get the story out, all of that. So now when we talk about Nike, right, and we talk about how they are, as we speak, because we noticed what they're doing, Kevin, they're trying to figure out from a marketing and a messaging standpoint how to leverage his death now to get more profit, right? Mm-hmm. What separates them from what the journalists are doing?
The only separation is that the family is going to reap some of these benefits from the sale. Okay. They didn't reap anything from media.
So is that what it's really about then? Money?
No, that's not what it's about. But that's what's
so it's not about moral, all that other stuff.
What does morals have to do with this? What does morals have to do with this? The man had a contract with Nike, and they're saying, "Listen, we might have to adjust this contract." And this woman, his wife, might have a contract in perpetuity with Nike because of the young man.
No, I'm not talking about. No. Understand what I'm saying to you. I'm not merely talking about the sale of merchandise. What I'm specifically talking about is leveraging his death, emotionalizing an audience to sell more merchandise. That's what I'm talking about.
Well, isn't that what marketing is, Eric?
Right. So what I'm saying is this. So at our core, right? Because now we want to sit and we want to have this conversation about how the media, who at the core, the people who own these media stations, it's about money, it's about profiteering, it's about all those things, right? And we want to find the victim in that, right? And you said, Diane, it's merely because the victim's not benefiting in the reward.
Oh, that's not what I said.
What
I said was the difference is media, they don't financially benefit anything from this. They'll financially benefit.
That's what I just said to you.
This is something she thought or didn't see. They are, like Kevin said, he already had a contract with them. Because he's now deceased, this is now her estate that she has to handle. So yeah, they're going to have to renegotiate because she's going to have to give the okay whether she allows it to happen.
No, wait a minute, wait. I want her to let this happen. I'm
not saying stop.
If they sell a shoestring, I want her to get the same deal.
No, that's not. But you're missing. But should they be selling the shoestring? Should they be selling the shoestring while pulling the heartstrings?
Who's pulling the heartstring of somebody?
Oh, they just. Wait a minute. Listen. Did you see what they just did? Did you see what Nike just did? They took his signature page on the web and they made it into this memorial now.
That's fine. But
no, Eric, wait a minute. See, I'm a marketing guy, right? So I understand what's happening. So they make it into a memorial where you can go and sign, right? But guess what happens to your electronic signature? It gets dumped into an email database. Let's see. We gotta have an honest conversation.
Wait a minute, sir. You don't went all over the place now.
No, I'm not. I'm saying that Nike is actively engaged in leveraging his death and emotionalizing his death in order to capitalize. And I'm asking you, is that okay?
So yes, it is okay because they did the same thing when he was living. He was a brand, and he branded himself to make money.
Right, and you know what? And the media used him as a brand, and the media made money on his brand, and
No.
so and they broke headlines on his brand, and so now to say, well, they're breaking headlines now, and we need to be concerned about somebody's feelings being hurt.
Diane, he's caping for the corporation of white supremacy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I just asking the question.
For the corporation of white supremacy.
I'm just asking the question, man. I'm saying, look, what's good for the goose is good for the chicken. At least that's what.
Hey, wait a minute.
So Tamika says, right.
Read
So Takima says, great analysis, Eric. Everybody is capitalizing. Another person, Dre, says they make products to sell at any cost, taking advantage of any situation. Tamisha says Eric is right. Shady Lathan says, what's the problem with Nike capitalizing? It's the American way.
Well, I agree. So what's wrong with the media capitalizing? It's the American way. That's all I'm saying. I'm saying what's good for the goose is good for the chicken.
What we said was the media didn't give an opportunity for the wife to even get the information before they were so quick to throw it out there. We said it was insensitive. We didn't say it was against what they should do or against moral. We said it was insensitive.
I got it.
Eric, for the first time in my life, it breaks my heart, Diane. He's caping for the corporation.
I never thought it would happen.
I never thought it would happen. Oh my God! Hey, look.
I got people in the informed class agreeing with me. Diane, do I not have people agreeing with me? Thank you all.
Look, what do we say all the time? We aren't monolithic.
We are.
Right. We are not monolithic.
You got this one.
Hey, Diane. I am going to go get some, inject him with something to get that corporation of white supremacy.
We're going to wash that right out of him.
I want you to drink some carrot juice. Oh, God. But listen, I got to tell you something. This is going to be very interesting to see. And I feel so bad for his wife, because she's going to have to manage this. Yeah. And she's going to be very careful the people she has around her. You know?
I think if she keeps the same clique of people, her family and whoever her close confidants are, and have been over the years, she'll be fine.
I just hope and pray she does, because
I don't foresee her jumping out and getting new people and friends to advise her. Because remember, he wasn't just buying stuff and doing stuff. He has been investing and doing things for a long time, so it would come out and it would last for a long time. So I don't foresee her jumping out there and saying, "Oh, I'm not taking their advice now," and she's been going with it the whole time. Because I think right now everybody should just do what she asked, give her some privacy, allow her to mourn and to adjust to her new way of living. Because this is a new way of living for her when you lose family members.
It's just painful. I mean, and then think about the other families that were on the helicopter. Think about his mother and father, their mother and father. It's just a domino effect. It's just ugly. And then for these women, these pseudo feminists, to take the totality of his life and try to smear him in his death was offensive to me. And I just want to ask the corporation of white supremacy, just give us a break for today.
Not even that it was offensive, it was bad timing. And that's what people have to learn. There is a time and place for everything. And talking about this maybe next month might have been taken a lot lighter and easier than right now.
And listen, I think a lot of young men should learn from Kobe Bryant about what happened in that situation. A lot of these young men, when they're out on the road, they get into things they just shouldn't get into. And I hope that a lot of young men that saw Kobe Bryant go through that, learned from him, because I think he learned from it. He definitely evolved. I mean, people say he got meaner on the court. He got this. I think Kobe Bryant had to build that type of thing to keep him functioning at the level that he did. But I think that the way he handled it and the way he tried to deal with it with his wife and his family, and them still being together and then continuing to have children, there must have been a lot of healing that had to go on.
Yeah.
So I just think that he was an interesting young man. But at 41 years old, guys, that's his whole life was cut. No, but look, he lived a life on the mountain. He did do something. He did give back.
He did great things. So.
Yep.
He lives his life, and what they say, or what do they say, Kevin? You don't know the day, the time, or the hour.
But can I add something?
Your last time.
Can I add something to this? Because I've been hearing this conversation over my lifetime. God knows when you're going to die, or your anointed time, or whatever. I don't believe in any of that.
So wait a minute. Can I get back to this thing? So wait a minute,
I
guys.
know as the insurance agent, if I knew as the insurance agent, I'd be selling everybody in life insurance today.
It's like when people say, "Oh, God will take you," and I'm like, no, God is too infinite for that. You just died.
So look, there's something else I'm getting ready to share on my page. So this is Michael Jordan now, right? So the headline says Michael Jordan is dropping a limited edition Jordan number 11 for Kobe Bryant.
Now that
wait a minute. See, I wanted you tell me where. You tell me
now
where.
That is opportunity.
Talk to me now. Wait.
Now that's some dirty SHIT
But
stuff
she's
right
gonna
there.
benefit, right? The wife's gonna benefit. She's
Nah,
gonna get a piece of this too.
Eric, please. He's
Wait a
doing
minute.
that
See,
for
this is what I'm
selfish reasons.
saying. We can't.
Selfish?
Like,
No. That's somebody that worked alongside of him. He's doing that to profit for himself.
Well, Nike's gonna profit. See, this is what I'm saying. See, it gets really nuanced now, right? Because
Nike had a contract with him. Michael Jordan did not.
No, Michael Jordan has a contract with Nike. He's got a whole division. This shoe is coming through his division.
Michael Jordan does not have a contract with Kobe Bryant.
How do you know?
How do you know?
Wait a minute. You mean to tell me? You're gonna suggest to me?
I'm not even going down this rabbit hole.
You're gonna suggest to me? I want to hear what's in the feed, guys. You're gonna suggest to me that Kobe Bryant's wife is not going to benefit from Michael Jordan dropping his limited edition shoe? That's what you're saying?
Oh, Lord Jesus, help us. The Lord your God will be with you wherever you go.
I just want to know. I want to know this contract Eric signed this morning. Hey, Diane. I want to know what contract. Hey, Diane. Hey, Eric.
Yep.
Can I see that contract you signed this morning? Because you're caping. You're messing with you.
There you go. You're getting messy. You're getting so messy, I won't be able to pull you back.
Oh, my God.
Kevin. Tighten my tires.
You're a mess, man. You're a mess.
I'm going.
Hey, Diane.
Kevin, I got an interview.
Diane, that's a mess. He's a mess. He took that. You bent that so much. You just arced that so many different ways. I just had to put you on Front Street this morning.
I'm asking a question. I'm saying, look, we have to understand. And I'm being very serious here. I disagree with what the media did, right? But I also disagree with this. But it's all tied into capitalism. See, it's all tied into capitalism. So at the end of the day, we can cloak it how we want to. We can sprinkle sugar on it, but it still stinks to high heaven.
Well, this is what America was built on.
And I agree with you.
And you got to strike while the iron is hot. If he does it in 2 weeks, it won't matter. So, of course, he's going to drop it today.
Well, let's just put it this way. I'm almost certain that Kobe Bryant owns every part of his body insured, from the top of his head, his image, to everything. Because he was just having a fight with a pharmaceutical company on the word Black Mama, right? Black Mama. And he was having that fight because he had chose that name to market and brand whatever products he was going to be doing. In the insurance, the pharmaceutical company said, "Oh no, you can't use it," and he went to court.
Right.
He was still in court. So he understood branding, he understood he understood marketing. That's one of the things he wanted to get involved in, and that's why he won that Academy Award, because he was starting to push out and be more creative. So I think he was thinking about a lot of those things. But if these people are going to use this image, it has to be directly linked to his estate, and they have to pay them for using his image. And that's the work they got to do sooner than later. They have to be in a room locking that up sooner than later.
And I'm sure it's probably already locked up, because you have to also remember his dad was a retired professional player too. So he's not coming out the box stupid. He's got some experience in what has happened, with how to handle his business and his life.
Last thing on Kobe, did you know how he got the name Kobe?
For the Kobe beef?
Yeah, apparently his dad was at a meeting somewhere at a restaurant, and they didn't have a name for him yet, and Yeah, name him Kobe after Kobe beef. Kevin, this is for you. The coronavirus is on its way.
I know, they can't kill me.
Wait, Kevin, did you see the picture I sent you? The people in the airport with big plastic water containers cut out and put over their head, and they breathing through the little spout through the top.
Kevin, the coronavirus is coming.
Well, guess what? When I was in the hospital the other day, I didn't touch any doors. I got up and washed my hand 42 times. When I asked the lady where the bathroom was, I saw the lady that cleaned the bathroom. I said, "Miss, can you clean this bathroom before I go in here?" And she cleaned the bathroom for me again. But let me tell you something about the coronavirus. I got to tell you, I think it's a hoax. This is playing right into this whole vaccination movement. That will now we'll all be taking shots for coronavirus. Now they got taking us shots for we potentially might get cancer. Now they got us taking 45 shots as opposed to 6 shots, and none of the stuff has been tested. But you got people always talking about the science, and now I'm asking everybody that has. I've been waiting for all this. I've been waiting for you to send me all the science, right? So now this is just another way to take that vaccine and all those vaccines, all those pools of vaccines that are not really trial tested. There are a lot of them that are, but the ones that everybody's suspected of is not being tested, and that's a fact. So coronavirus, I gotta tell you, it's a hoax. I mean, I say hoax, not saying that they're not people getting sick, but they
wait a minute? So now, I'm gonna explore this for a second. So, because I understand what you mean, that people are getting sick, that there is a virus out there. Do you believe, because you said that you think that it's some sort of a conspiracy to thwart this movement, this vaccination or anti-vaccination movement?
No, wait a minute. I didn't say that. I try not to connect it, but now that I'm spending more time in vaccine space, and I'm reading the data and I'm looking at the information, and one of the things I get from doctors all the time was it's the science. Well, wait a minute. What vaccines are you talking about? Because if you're talking about the vaccines you're shooting in my kids when they're born, and shooting them while they're in school, you really don't know the long-term impact of it. Because if you open up the box, it tells you this can happen, 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 this can happen. But then if something does happen, I can't sue the pharmaceutical big pharma. See, that's what I'm trying to say. So now coronavirus. Well, okay, how many people died of coronavirus all from around the country, all around the world? Maybe 100, maybe 110. But if you looked at Ebola, right, in Africa, right, millions were dying. So they're going to work to find a strong virus and test it and do all the protocols they need to do. But these viruses that they're shooting into these kids right now, and these parents are saying it's affecting my kids. Why do we have so many food allergies now? Why is New Jersey the largest state of people with autism? Why is it that our kids have all of these rash and all of these skin diseases? Well, I mean, you just got to ask that question. I grew up in this town. I traveled all around. Why all of a sudden that has happened? So when you ask the question, they say, oh, well, it'll protect you. This is in terms of it'll protect you. From what? Oh, then they said measles. They had a measles outbreak, right? When we looked at the numbers, it was the equivalent of maybe 30 to 40 people having the measles. I mean, you got to be careful. Black people got to start paying attention, and especially black people, because everything that they've done thus far, black people have been harmed or either died by some of those vaccines. Now, that's a fact.
It's a fact.
I must ask you us to pay attention. I mean, you let them shoot that stuff in your baby at 2 years old, and then 6 months later, a year later, he's being diagnosed as with autism. But then the pharmacy and the scientists that work for the pharmacy, big pharma, say, well, that's not, there's no study that says that autism. But they do have the studies. It's absolutely a fact. I mean, all of our kids have HPD, I mean, when did we start getting all of that stuff? Diana, when did we start getting that stuff?
Well, they talked about it in The Death of a King when they were doing examinations and they were fighting different diseases, that there were diseases that we were not getting that non-Black people that were actually getting, and they were testing us, and then we were starting to get contaminated with stuff that we could no longer fight. So it's been going on for a long time.
And Diane, no one is saying, here's the deal, no one is saying that they are against vaccine. So if a vaccine has gone through the right trials and all the tests and is measured for the next 5 to 6 years, they've done, they use pigs because pigs has a connect to our immune system, and then they do human trials, and then they try to drill down to get the answer before it goes out to market. Vaccines don't have to do that. Vaccines do not have to do that. They will shoot your babies with that stuff, shoot your children with that stuff, and you will never you can't sue. Once you figure out something is wrong with your child, you can't sue and say it was them. What they're doing is they're making the state, and they're making the states say it's mandatory to give you 14 shots. It's mandatory to give you these shots. Oh, and they're connecting it to your education. Oh, if you don't take the shots, you can't play football. If you don't take the shots, you can't play with other kids. See what they're doing? It's we're talking marketing, Eric. It's brilliant. You get penalized for not taking their poison. Then they say, well, it's not poison. I said, prove it to me that it's not. Well, and it goes like this. For instance, if you do the right testing and trials, people will know it won't affect you. But open up the box, Eric, when they shoot you with the needle, it tells you everything that it could do to you. But they can't get sued, Diane. Black people need to pay attention to that. Big Pharma has been knocking us off. They've been doing testing on us. Listen, they had a vaccine several years ago that about 200, 300 Black people died in the course of a year. And you never heard anything about it. And it's a fact. You know why? Because you couldn't sue them. Now, people, I'm doing my homework now. See, I've been spending a lot of time in this space, Eric. Now, if you'd asked me 6 months ago about the vaccines, I would have had a different opinion. Now, I'm like, watch your kids. Don't let them give them all them shots to those kids.
Well, I feel the same way, and a lot of people now are starting to do like delayed vaccinations. So instead of doing them, I guess at the 3 month, 6 month, they're waiting a little bit longer before they're starting to get a vaccination. But I feel the same way as you feel, Kevin. I don't mess around with the flu shot. The last 2 times I had it, I was extremely sick. I know people who have taken it and have been fine, but I'm just one of those people like, something to try and figure it out.
But there lies my point. It affected you. Now, how many other kids did it affect? What other things happened to those children? When those children got those shots when they were born, coming out of their mother's womb, how it might have damaged them. The medicine that you should be asking that question. So it is about choice. It is about your religious rights. It is.
All right.
And anybody that fights against a woman and her child when they're saying something is wrong, they're evil. I'm standing with those women. I have learned a lot about this vaccine stuff, and I'm telling you, it's that. And Black people, they got us wired into death.
Thank you guys for tuning in. Stay informed, engaged, and empowered.
Hey, Eric, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to take that corporation and white supremacy contract you had this morning and tear it up.
No longer good.
I love you guys.
I'm going to get that contract from you.
I'll see you tomorrow.
Okay, buddy. Oh, boy.